And I'll never forget on that day that we call Walk Day 2015, that I was standing on the other side of 123 waiting to cross for the traffic to part so that we could cross over. And this wave of emotion just hit me. I felt as if it was something akin to Joshua leading the Israelites across the Jordan River into the Promised Land. Well, back in 1992, I received a call from our district superintendent here in the Alexandria district, and he asked me if I'd be interested in serving a church. I was in San Antonio, living with my wife Rosemary and our one-year-old daughter Taylor, and even before I got here, Christ Church was meeting at the old Lorton Elementary School.
We were in the Lorton School in the gym, which, by the way, wasn't air conditioned, and during the summer it got rather, let's call it aromatic, to be polite. But then that fall, Silverbrook Elementary opened up, and we shifted from Lorton School to Silverbrook.
We had a couple of small folding tables, and we made that the altar, and we would set up and have church, and then tear down and put things back in people's trunks, and we were on our way about noon on Sunday.
But we didn't have to set up very many chairs. There were only about 35 people.
And we just continued to grow.
We were the very first United Methodist Church in the state of Virginia to do all contemporary worship.
And we started talking about raising money and building a church, and it was at that point that the Glen Eagles Church was built.
And we went from a place in 1992 where they couldn't afford my salary and couldn't afford the rent of the school to where we were able to build and occupy our very first building on Memorial Day weekend of 1995. If that's not the Holy Spirit at work and God pouring His blessings in upon the ministry of this church, I don't know what is.
And the cross that's behind me was a cross that we carried from the elementary school over to the new property, which is 5 acres, sitting at Cross Point behind the community center. And the day we moved in, it was already too small.
We had to add 2 single-wide trailers because we needed more classroom space. Then, over the years, we added 3 more double-wide trailers to continue the expansion. We added more worship services in 2003.
And then the next step was then to purchase the land here.
And when we crossed 123, it felt like we had inherited the promised land that God had been promising for us for so long, for those 10 years.
We've got more room to do what we need to do.
But it was every bit as emotional I can imagine that the Israelites must have thought when they crossed. And that's the reason why we designed and built the fountain the way we did. The fountain that's out in front of the church is our story. It's the story of the Israelites, but it's our story.
When I think of Christ Church, I think of us being the members demonstrating Christ's love through the welcoming, our hospitality, our service.
You've got the kids in here doing something. You know, the very young kids here every day for Green Tree Preschool. You got the older kids coming in for their events on Wednesday and Sundays and stuff.
We have a grief group. We have a cancer support group.
It's the Wind-Shaped Camp sponsored by Chick-fil-A.
You know, you've got this whole online ministry of people that faithfully, I guess, come get online and watch what's going on.
Our church has nothing to do with where we sit. It has everything to do with who we are.
You know, one of the things that we always worried about at Glen Eagles Lane and then coming here was the attitude, we have arrived. Well, no, we haven't arrived. We have only just begun.
If we ever start believing that we've arrived, then that's the beginning of the end. You know, what do? We're called to love God, that's outward. We're called to love others, that's outward. We're called to live out the gospel life, that's outward. You know, we are called to make a difference in the world. And as long as we recognize that if there is anyone within driving distance of this church who does not yet know the freeing and saving grace of Jesus Christ, then our job's not done. Our job's not done.